Horton's world welcomes you." The ancient world whispered her name, Medusa, a creature of myth and terror. She was once a vision of loveliness, a maiden with hair like spun gold and eyes like the Aegean Sea. But beauty fades, and for Medusa, beauty became a curse. The gods of Olympus twisted her fate. Medusa, the once beloved, became the feared Gorgon. Medusa did not choose her fate. She was born into a world where the gods played games with mortal lives. Her only crime was her beauty, a beauty so potent it attracted the attention of a god, and the jealous wrath of a goddess. Betrayed by love and cursed by envy, Medusa's life became a nightmare. She was exiled, forced to live in the shadows, but even in darkness a spark of the woman remained. Medusa's story begins not in the gilded halls of Mount Olympus, but in the churning depths of the primordial sea. She was the daughter of Phorcys and Ceto, ancient deities of the deep. Her parents were creatures of the old world, embodiments of the untamed power of the ocean. Phorcys, the god of hidden dangers, was a fearsome sight. Ceto, the goddess of the sea's perils, was equally formidable. From these primordial beings, Medusa inherited a wild, untamed beauty. But unlike her monstrous kin, Medusa possessed a human form. Medusa was one of three sisters, the Gorgons. Stheno and Euryale, her elder siblings, shared her lineage and her fate. Together they embodied the duality of the sea, both beautiful and terrifying, alluring and deadly. Stheno, whose name meant strength, was the fiercest of the three. Euryale, whose name meant far-roaming, was the most relentless. Despite their fearsome reputations, the Gorgon sisters were fiercely loyal to one another. Of the three sisters, Medusa was the most striking. Her beauty was legendary, whispered about in hushed tones by mortals and immortals alike. She possessed a captivating aura that drew all eyes to her. Her hair, the color of spun gold, cascaded down her back in shimmering waves. Her eyes, the blue of the Aegean Sea, held a depth and intensity that could mesmerize. But this beauty, so pure and radiant, would ultimately prove to be her downfall. Poseidon, the mighty god of the sea, was a force of nature. His power was as vast and unpredictable as the ocean itself. He could summon crashing waves, shake the earth with his trident, and unleash storms that could shatter ships and drown entire cities. Poseidon, my love can be as fierce as my anger, and woe betide any who dare to cross me or deny me what I crave. Poseidon's heart was stirred by beauty, and Medusa's loveliness captivated him completely. His desire for her was immediate and overwhelming, a force as primal as the tides themselves. He became fixated on possessing her, his thoughts consumed by her image. Medusa, however, was a devout priestess of Athena. She had pledged herself to a life of service and purity within the goddess's temple. She found solace in her devotion, her days filled with rituals and prayers. Poseidon's advances were an affront to her piety. Temple priestess Medusa attempted to ignore his attentions, but Poseidon was relentless. He sent her gifts of coral and pearls, tokens of his affection. Poseidon, Medusa, accept my gifts and I will grant you power beyond your wildest dreams. But Medusa remained resolute, her faith in Athena unwavering. She sought refuge in Athena's temple, hoping that the goddess's protection would be enough. But Poseidon, blinded by his desire, refused to be denied. He stormed into Athena's temple, his anger echoing through the sacred halls. The air crackled with the power of the sea, the very foundations of the temple trembling before his wrath. He saw only Medusa, her beauty a beacon in the dimly lit temple. Poseidon, Medusa, trapped and terrified, cried out to Athena for help, but her pleas went unanswered. Whatever the reason, Medusa found herself alone and defenseless. In that moment, the sacred space offered no protection. Poseidon, his heart aflame with a dark and terrible desire, forced himself upon In the aftermath of the assault, Medusa lay weeping on the cold stone floor of the temple. Her tears mingled with the seawater that dripped from Poseidon's form. She had prayed for Athena's protection, but her prayers had gone unanswered. Now, all that remained was a profound sense of violation and despair. She felt betrayed by the god who had claimed to love her, abandoned by the goddess she had served so faithfully. The weight of Poseidon's transgression pressed down on her, crushing her spirit, temple priestess. As she lay there, broken and defeated, a cold fury began to burn within her. In her heart, a seed of vengeance was sown, a seed that would blossom into a terrible and monstrous power. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, warfare, and strategic craft, was revered throughout Greece. She was a virgin goddess, a protector of cities and a champion of justice. Her wrath was legendary, her wisdom unmatched. Yet even a goddess as powerful as Athena could be swayed by emotions as potent as jealousy and rage. When news of Poseidon's transgression reached Athena, a cold fury gripped her. The sanctity of her temple had been violated, her priestess defiled. Athena, her pride wounded, her authority challenged, Athena sought retribution. But her anger, instead of being directed at Poseidon, fell upon Medusa. Whatever the reason, Athena's fury was unrelenting, and Medusa would bear the brunt of the goddess's scorn. The power of a god's curse is a terrible thing.
When Athena's wrath descended upon Medusa, it transformed her, stripping away her beauty and replacing it with a monstrous visage.
Her once lustrous hair, the color of spun gold, writhed and twisted, transforming into a nest of venomous serpents. Her skin, once flawless and smooth, grew pale and scaly, taking on a greenish hue reminiscent of the sea.
Her eyes, once as blue and inviting as the Aegean Sea, now burned with a cold reptilian intensity.
The transformation was complete, the once beautiful Medusa now a terrifying reflection of Athena's rage. Medusa's gaze, once a source of admiration and wonder, became a weapon of unimaginable power. It was a curse, a burden, and a means of defense all rolled into one. No longer could she look upon another living being without inflicting upon them a terrible fate. The power resided not only in her eyes, but in the very act of being seen. The world recoiled from her, horrified by what she had become. She had become a monster, an object of fear and revulsion. Athena, her vengeance complete, banished Medusa to a remote and desolate island. It was a place of shadows and silence, a fitting prison for the creature she had become. The island was said to be shrouded in perpetual mist, its shores littered with the stony remains of those unfortunate souls who had stumbled upon Medusa's lair. Here, at the edge of the world, Medusa lived in solitude. The weight of her curse pressed down on her, a constant reminder of her isolation and despair. She was alone, shunned by the world, her only companions the venomous snakes that writhed upon her head. The island to which Medusa was exiled was a place of desolation and despair. It was a jagged volcanic rock, thrust up from the depths of the Aegean Sea by some ancient cataclysmic force. The sky above was perpetually overcast, the air thick with the smell of salt and sulfur. The shores of the island were littered with the remains of ships, their timbers shattered and bleached white by the sun and salt. Here and there amongst the wreckage stood the petrified forms of men and beasts, caught forever in the moment of their demise. They were a grim testament to the power of Medusa's gaze, a warning to any who dared to approach her lair. The island was uncharted, shunned by sailors and fishermen alike. Medusa's exile was a living death. The once vibrant maiden filled with life and laughter was now a prisoner in her own monstrous form. The island, for all its desolation, was vast, and she wandered its barren landscape, a solitary figure amidst the rocks and thorns. The snakes that crowned her head, once her golden hair, were her only companions. The weight of her isolation pressed down on her, crushing her spirit. She had known the warmth of love, the joy of companionship, the comfort of human touch. Now all that remained was a chilling emptiness, a void that echoed with the memory of what she had lost. The island was not entirely silent. Sometimes on the wind, Medusa would hear whispers of the world she had left behind, tales of heroes and monsters, of gods and mortals, their lives intertwined in a tapestry of love, loss, and betrayal. She heard of Perseus, the young demigod, famed for his courage and skill. She heard of his quest to slay her, to take her head as a trophy to appease the gods, and she felt a surge of anger, a burning resentment at the injustice of her fate.
She had not asked for this power, this monstrous form.
The thought filled her with a cold rage, a determination to fight back against the fate that had been thrust upon her.
Perseus, the demigod son of Zeus, was renowned for his courage and daring.
His name was whispered in awe throughout the lands, his deeds recounted in tales that celebrated his strength and cunning.
It was to Perseus that Polydectes, the king of Seriphos, turned when he desired a gift as rare as it was deadly, the head of Medusa.
Polydectes, a cruel and ambitious man, had long coveted Danae, Perseus's mother.
He saw in the quest for Medusa's head a way to rid himself of the young hero, believing the task to be impossible.
He presented the challenge to Perseus with feigned reluctance, masking his true intentions with words of praise and promises of reward.
Perseus, though wary of the king's motives, felt the familiar tug of destiny calling him forth.
He accepted the challenge, knowing that to refuse would be to shame both himself and his divine father.
He would prove his worth not for the sake of a king's favor, but for the glory of the quest itself.
A perilous journey. The journey to Medusa's island was fraught with peril. The gods, taking note of Perseus's quest, bestowed upon him gifts to aid him in his task. Hermes, the swift-footed messenger, gifted him winged sandals that allowed him to soar above the treacherous seas. Athena, remembering her role in Medusa's fate, provided him with a shield of polished bronze, its surface so reflective it could mirror the world around him. Hephaestus, the god of the forge, crafted for him a sword of celestial bronze, its blade imbued with the power to cleave through flesh and bone as easily as a hot knife through butter. Thus armed, Perseus set out, his heart filled with a mixture of trepidation and determination. He navigated treacherous currents, battled monstrous sea creatures, his every step a testament to his courage and resolve. The closer he drew to Medusa's island, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The air grew heavy with the stench of decay, and the cries of unseen creatures echoed across the waves. The Gorgon's legacy. Medusa's story is a tragedy woven into the very fabric of Greek mythology. She stands as a stark reminder of the capricious nature of the gods, their power to bless and to curse, to create and to destroy. She is a symbol of the duality of beauty, its allure and its potential for destruction, its power to captivate and to repel. Her image, once intended to inspire terror, has transcended its origins. She has become an icon, her serpent hair and petrifying gaze reinterpreted through the lens of art, literature, and feminist thought. No longer solely a figure of horror, she represents the power of transformation, the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable suffering. Medusa's legacy is a complex one, a tapestry woven from threads of fear and fascination, pity and admiration. Her story continues to resonate with us, centuries after it was first told, reminding us that even in the darkest of myths there is always more to be explored, more to be understood. A monster, a victim, an icon. Was Medusa a monster, or was she a victim, punished for the crimes of others? The answer perhaps lies somewhere in between. She was both and more. She was a woman whose beauty became a curse, her life a testament to the destructive nature of unchecked power and the enduring strength of the human spirit. In the end, Medusa's story is not just about monsters and heroes, gods and mortals. It is about the choices we make, the consequences we face, and the enduring power of our own narratives. It challenges us to look beyond the surface, to question our assumptions, and to find empathy in the most unexpected of places. So the next time you hear the name Medusa, remember her story. Remember the woman who was betrayed, cursed, and ultimately transformed. And ask yourself, what does her legacy mean to you? May her story inspire you to unlock the magic within you. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the history of Medusa. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Horton's World for more explorations into the world's most fascinating myths and legends. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What other mythical creatures or legends would you like us to explore next? Share your ideas, and let's keep the flame of curiosity burning bright. And as always, stay curious.